All right, welcome back to the BFR podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave, cover the Bears for SM, joined by my good friend, co-host, Chicago Bears content creator, Ficky. Of course, we have our producer, Jack, on the sticks as well. And today we are going to obviously preview Bears versus Vikings. I know it's a highly anticipated matchup, Monday Night Football, doubleheader. But we have, before we get to that, we are going to go over a really interesting piece from Dan Whittier. It was dropped today at 6 a.m., and it is all about Ryan Poles and essentially what the Bears are going to do at GM. And now we all know from about a week and a half ago, there was a press conference where, Kevin Warren said that Poles was the GM for the Bears. However, with the new coaching search coming along, it's very interesting to see kind of the dynamic shift over the past week and a half, where it's going to essentially be, I think, at least a 4-game evaluation, unless it's already been decided, because this piece right here, which is from Dan Whittier, which I think is the Chicago Tribune. Is that right?
Yeah, Chicago Tribune.
You can see right here how long it is. Like, I'm scrolling, and there you go, get to the end. So there's a lot to digest. Of course, go read it for yourselves. We're going to go over some key notes here. So if you have not read it, if you don't have the subscription, we're going to go through it for you. And again, I do encourage you guys to go purchase yourself. So anyways, before we get to this, boys, how are we doing? How are we feeling on this Friday night? Bears can't ruin your weekend, which is cool.
They sure can. They can ruin our week.
It's pretty sweet, but they can fuck up your Monday, at least your Monday night. So, but how are we feeling, Ficky?
Good. I mean, look, it's kind of crazy. The Bears have sucked all the joy out of us recently. Because as Vizzo Joe just posted, Kyle Tucker news to the Cubs, for other, Cubs fans out there, that's exciting news. But for some reason, I did not care at all today, because this team, it's hard to get excited about Chicago sports, just in general, right? So I'm kind of, I actually spent 2 hours a day listening to draft takes and going deeper into some of these players, and I'm more excited about that. So that tells me where my head's at. I'm not even that locked into who we're playing on Monday. Obviously, I know who it is, but I'm so ready. What can we do to improve this team, or having my energy deflected over to the piece that we're going to talk about? It's all about the stuff that is not the team playing on Sunday or Monday. And that's kind of where we're at now, because the season's just kind of depleted,
Yeah, I definitely feel you. I don't know. These 4 games are going to be there. We've been through this stretch though, where we have a stretch of games where it's not fun. We know the Bears are likely going to be outmatched in a lot of these, and probably going to lose, the rest of the way. So the best thing we have to look forward to, of course, is the off season. But Jack, before we hop into this piece, which I said is, it's really good. I think it's going to prompt some really good conversation between us three, and of course in the comments as well. But Jack, how you feeling on this Friday, man?
I'm good, doing well for football purposes.
All right, good. Jack's doing well, so let's move on to.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm kidding, Jack.
No, I'm learning, or I fully have become an NFL fan, like the Rob Lowe meme of him wearing the NFL hat. It's I'm looking forward to the Lions-Bills game, the Steelers-Eagles. I'm looking forward to that. I couldn't care less about Monday, to be honest. If God forbid, but if my TV just completely went out, YouTube TV blew up, and I couldn't watch, not the end of the world. I'll hop on the pod Tuesday and pretend like I watched it.
Yeah, figure it out. And we'll also shout out Jack. He's coming up. Tomorrow is his birthday, so let's get a happy birthday, Jack, in the comments. Matt Forte year.
Thank you.
Happy 22nd, almost.
Thank you, boys.
And he's going to
22.
He's going to steal more joy from him by watching the Bulls play. So
yes, Bulls Hornets. Tune in. Going to be a big one tonight.
Is that where you're going for your birthday?
It's tonight, so I'm going out with some of the guys and going to watch.
Oh, okay.
My 10 and 15 NBA team. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's my excitement.
Better than a 4 and 9 or whatever we are. So
very true.
I'll be honest. I used to consume the NBA so much back in middle school, high school. Nowadays, I catch the big games, right? And that's about it. Of course, I watch the playoffs, but it's man, the grind of the regular season. I'm not even really intrigued on the NBA Cup. Is that what they call it? The NBA Cup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
something like that.
Well, I'm not.
Just not really
My
intrigued
team
on
got
it, but
beat, but yeah. So it is what it is, man.
That was
Sports
fun.
are tough right now. Basically, sorry everyone, as we kind of sit here and vent a little bit. Sports are not.
the Bulls even make the NBA Cup?
I'm hearing hockey's doing well or something.
I would love.
Does
to
every
make
team
hockey.
make the NBA Cup?
No, it's like soccer. You make it out the qualifying round, and then you get into the little tournament.
Oh, okay.
So,
Did the Bulls make it?
Number.
That's how much I pay attention to those guys.
I don't know if the Bulls did.
We did
the
not
Knicks
make
did,
it.
got beat by the Hawks.
We had a winner go home and lost that, so we did not make it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's probably for the best, but
yeah.
All right, so
who gives a shit?
Exactly. So again, if you're tuning in for the first time, we appreciate you. Bears podcast. I promise you, I know we're talking a little basketball, but that is rare. We are all Bears pretty much all the time. And of course, we're going to get into this piece here again from the Chicago Tribune. It is titled, let's see here. And again, Ficky actually, I don't know, Jack, have you read this yet? No?
Only got blurbs up on Twitter.
Yeah, blurbs.
Right.
So
yeah.
So it's like I said, from the Chicago Tribune, Dan Whittier. Why does he get to save his job? Ryan Poles is in line to hire another Chicago Bears coach, but should he be? And so that's the starting right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go to kind of some parts here that I thought were interesting. I'll start reading in the beginning. It says, whatever that was supposed to be Sunday afternoon, referring to the 49ers game, it was altogether unsightly. Chicago Bears team that many around the league expected to be climbing the NFL mountain this season was continuing its tumble over the edge. In a first half as rocky as it was listless, the Bears offense had more punts, 5, than total yards, 4. And then, of course, their defense went on to get destroyed. However, very interesting, from row 2, seat 43 inside Levi Stadium's press box, which is insanely detailed. Again, this whole piece is very detailed, but the fact he knew the number he was sitting at is hilarious. But it was GM Ryan Poles. It was his front row seat to that disaster in San Francisco. He said, Bears general manager Ryan Poles stared down the mess on a team that appeared disconnected, emotionally spent, and totally directionless, and he was left to process it all. And then it was the first game again after the November 29th firing of coach Matt Eberflus. The Bears were absolutely throttled, suffering the worst defeat in what is now an astonishing 7-game losing streak. So that kind of sets the tone about Ryan Poles kind of seeing that whole develop. So let me see here. Let me pull up. I had some notes here from it.
Yikes. No, that is, while you're pulling that up, that is, I mean, you can tell he's a writer, but gosh, that is a damning start to the long article. Yeah. I'm sure it doesn't get much better in favor of Ryan Poles here. So obviously it couldn't have, because everyone was talking about it today. So it definitely did its job.
Yeah, I think so. We've all been very vocal about Ryan Poles and wanting him to stay. One thing I'll say going into this, it almost leaves the door wide open that the Bears may actually can him. It was, I think, reported that he has a $1 million buyout or something like that.
Yeah, and 1 year left.
That was reported. 1 year left, essentially. So I mean, it financially it's doable. At the same time, you then line up a coach like Ben Johnson with the GM as well. So that gives Ben Johnson a little bit more security. He's more comfortable knowing that the guy he's starting with, right, is fresh as well. So it's like the same timeline, if that makes sense. Because if Ryan Poles goes next year and Ben Johnson's still here, if you're Ben Johnson, whoever the head coach is, honestly, it's just going to be a very weird,
the same thing,
because that GM didn't pick you. It's like the
same
quarterback.
thing we did the quarterbacks. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
So if the Bears are going to do it, if that's the case.
It's interesting though, before you start, because the two options are weird now, because it's either you do what you just said, which is a possibility. And if that happened, I would understand it, right? There is some logic to that. But also if that happens, then that means everything Warren just said like a week ago is just, the trust in your president is thrown out. And sorry, maybe if that's in there, sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but it's thrown out the window, because just to go back a little bit, he basically said, no, Ryan Poles is going to be here. He basically doubled down, just like how Poles did on Flus, which we'll talk about. But he basically doubled down saying, hey, Ryan's going to be the GM moving forward. So if you decide that, or like the only way to get Ben Johnson says, hey, one of my criteria is I want a new GM coming in. Right. Yeah. It may be the right move to do that. Right. You do it. But then you're like, I don't know. How do you feel as a GM coming in that you probably feel good. Obviously, you got the job and you're aligning with the guy you want, but there is a little bit of credibility, which is then broken. The trust is gone, I would say, to an extent. It may not be enough to be detrimental, but it is gone in a way because your president just came out to the public not long ago, or it'd be months ago at that point, and said, hey, the GM's good here, and now he's out the door. So we've seen it before in the NFL, so I'm not putting it past that happening. It's just going to be a very interesting situation no matter which way they go.
Yeah, and that leads me to my first nugget here, Ficky. So, I mean, really good transition, because it's about Warren and Poles, of course, and the relationship. Because from every public, what's the word? When in public and when asked directly, Poles has said the right things regarding Warren, and that he's liked him, that he's backed him, that they're in sync. Nothing bad, essentially. However, from this report, Chicago Tribune, which, like I said, is very explosive, we're going to get to here, but it goes, still to some familiar with the inner workings at Hallis Hall, the Warren-Poles union actually hasn't been entirely harmonious over the past 20 months. While Poles has publicly and sincerely praised his boss's guidance and input, he has privately worried, multiple sources said, that his power in the GM chair might slowly lose strength if Warren ever felt compelled to assert his authority. Again, kind of putting him on edge, right, throughout the last 20 months. So it's not like last 10 weeks, anything like that, 20 months. So before I move on to that, what do y'all think? You think there's any truth to that?
I'll let Jack go because I just spoke. But
I don't know. It's the whole thing so far up to where you've summarized, Dave. It's all seeming. It seems very opinionated. Obviously, that's what a hit piece is like this is his thoughts created into something. But it's hard for me, especially because I'm already biased because I have my own opinion. It's hard for me to look at this and be like, okay, yeah, I'm already in on this. Fuck Poles, like get him out of here. So it's hard. I don't know. It feels like it's like, say I hate you, like, and I write something terrible about you. Not all of it has to be true, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm sure Dave's question was like, is there truth in it? I'm sure there is to an extent. Exactly. Like there's got to be something of it that's truthful, but is it as extreme as what's being, written here? And also that's not even a direct reflection of Dan Wiederer. That's the people giving him the information. So they can already have biases, right? And Dan could as well, right? So that the mix of the source's biasness and then also the writer's biasness could make it feel a little more extreme than what it is. But going back to your question, Dave, and Jack agrees with me on this. Is there truth in it? There has to be something. No, multiple people aren't just whoever leaked it, which we can talk about as well later. But whoever you got this information from had to have something. Correct. It's normally not 100% pure vendetta, right? There was some sort of rumor or something in it that maybe a little spark that he made into a giant fire. That's a whole different discussion. But there's got to be something there. But Jack made a great point because it's like we already have our biases about it. Like, Jack, I know we all kind of agree. Like we rock with Poles, right? Obviously, there's been mistakes, but like overall, he has been at least average, and we've seen GMs much worse than that. And we understood what he did coming in here with having one of the worst cap spaces in the NFL, a super old aging roster, and how he was able to turn all of that around. So I think we have more like grace because we're like, nah, you got us to even be at a point where like we had high expectations going into the season. Let me preface saying I didn't get to read the whole article, so I'm excited to see like what else is in there because that could honestly change my mind even more. There might be some more.
I think there is because I've seen a lot of people, a lot of respected Bears media analysts, fans, even have kind of changed their tone in regards to, hey, I'm actually open to if they are going to clean house, both GM and head coach. And that wasn't the case, like you said, 3-4 weeks ago. And I think you are correct. We're all very much in the same boat. However, they are poking holes. They're poking holes in, this is a little bit later on, but I guess we can mention it now about the Eberflus hire, which again, he didn't pick Eberflus, but he actually did because they gave him 3 candidates and they allowed him to open the door again if these 3 did not fit him. He chose Eberflus out of those 3. And the report was, again, that the Colts, who had Eberflus as the DC at the time, were actually going to fire Eberflus that season and move on and have an open spot for their DC, mainly because of player connections and chemistry in the locker room. He was a good DC, but there was some stuff there.
The hits didn't
right. But Poles, who they poked holes in him picking Eberflus because he didn't really go with the hot name. It felt like he didn't really do his research well enough. And they are shocked that he went with a guy like Matt Eberflus. And of course, now fast forward a couple years, he's out the door. One of the worst Bears coaches in some time. I've actually asked people to rank that, working an article right now, which, God, it is terrible. Oh my God. Because I'm getting all the records, getting all these weird stats for every single coach, the last 4, including Nagy, Trestman, and Fox, and now Eberflus. And it is remarkable. I don't think there's a worse stretch than these four hires here in any franchise, in my opinion. I would have to do more research on that, but
maybe
I'll put it up
Jets.
against
I would say
maybe
Jets.
And Nagy looks
Bad.
so good compared to these guys. But again, he had a really, really good team starting in 2018. But anyway, so that was about Flus. But let me go back here to, and this is from a former AFC executive on Poles. He goes, what big-time coach is going to sign up, no questions asked, to work with Ryan Poles right now? If you are a serious candidate, you'll need to ask yourself, and more importantly them, what is the level of belief in Ryan, and where does that exactly stem from? It sounds harsh, but the first question I'm asking is, why does he get to save his job? And I'd want to walk away with absolute zero reservations about their answer. With the state of the Bears heavily scrutinized, performances like Sunday's only further the perception of an organization that feels discombobulated at best, dysfunctional at worst. Therefore, it's critical that the Bears remember they aren't simply selecting their next coach. That coach must choose them as well. So that's one AFC South. Here's another former AFC executive. Every top candidate that is being sought after is going to want to explore and exhaust their options with every possible coaching opening out there, as opposed to simply taking a leap of faith that the Bears will get everything figured out. And this is very interesting because, I mean, this thing is going to start here. When can they technically? I think it's after the Super Bowl.
You can do it,
or after they're eliminated.
Yeah, as I say, it depends on elimination, and then the team has to grant permission. So there's 2 rules. It's basically the team's got to grant it, and then also you have to be able to meet the parameters of so it's sometime in the playoffs. It might be a championship round, or if they get bounced, you can obviously do it. So
yeah, I think they can granting permission. I think they can, because I think we've seen it last year. There was a couple coordinators that I think during the Chiefs run didn't they? I think the DC. In the middle of the playoff, he flew out, interviewed, and then made it back a couple days before their game. Yeah. So I mean that's a special, I think, type of ordeal. But I don't know if the Bears could definitely do that, But
look, here's going after Ben Johnson. That might be the case because they're playing the best team in football. So if they may be one of those similar situations.
So let me move forward here. And again, this is going to be a little bit of reading. I just want to kind of go through it. Like I said, again, read it for yourself. We're not going to give everything here. But like I said, a lot of good stuff from Dan Witter and Chicago Tribune. And like I said, it is weird dropping with just 4 games left. That's what's odd. This feels like a piece that comes out maybe after the season. But to come out before the Minnesota game, it is interesting. So
much drama in Chicago.
And so this one is it's called Mixed Results. As involved and complex as an NFL general manager job is, the biggest priorities remain pretty straightforward. Establish leadership and direction within the coaching ranks, prioritize coaching staff stability and development, build and fortify a championship contending roster, stabilize and elevate the quarterback position. Those are all categories in which Warren must center both his performance review of Poles to date and his future projections for a GM. In the latter 2 departments, it's reasonable to argue Poles has achieved at least a passing grade. Late in his rookie season, Caleb Williams continues to flash the kind of playmaking prowess, drive, leadership, and resilience that are important for playing quarterback at a high level in the NFL. I think that's correct. I think we all kind of agree there that Caleb, I mean, again, though, that was the number 1 pick. It was anyone's going to make that pick, in my opinion, in regards to getting Caleb. But he did land it with that insanely awesome trade. And, of course, a little luck as well. So here, let's see here. And he's doing this, and this is in regards to Caleb, surrounded by a team that, despite Sunday's blowout loss, seemed to indicate has enough talent to compete with anybody in the league, especially with that run in regards to the NFC North. Those three game stretch, we were losing 7 points in 3 games or something like that. It's crazy. Let's see here. So again, this is where it's giving credit to kind of Ryan Poles putting all of that in place. But then there's a lot. This is, I won't go all word for word, but one of the biggest, I guess, what's the indictment on Poles right now is allowing Matt Eberflus to stay, and then also allowing the selection of Shane Waldron. And this is where he gets killed for Shane, because a lot of people were shocked about, because of all the candidates that were there. And that they interviewed all of these people, and then they only gave him a second interview, and they still went with Shane Waldron, because there was already questions within the league and players that Shane just was not ready for that type of rookie quarterback, right? And so that is something that they're not happy about. Again, keeping Flus.
Who hired him? Was that a Flus hire, or was obviously the GM's got to give approval?
He's got to clean it. Yeah, he's got to clean it, but he was in it.
Okay.
He was heavily involved. So, in retrospect, the Bears badly misjudged Waldron on how Waldron would connect with players at Hallis Hall or acclimate to the new challenge of pushing a highly touted rookie quarterback. Thus, when the offense wheezed and Williams struggled through 3 consecutive losses coming out of the bye week, Waldron's hourglass began to break. He was fired after just 9 games, overseeing development of Caleb Williams. That too fell under Poles' watch. And when he was asked last week where his evaluation of Waldron had gone wrong, his answer, of course, was very vague. And we kind of talked about. And Poles, just to remind you, he goes, obviously there was some communication that probably didn't happen as clean as it needed to be. We just got off to a tough start. It's always difficult when you have a young quarterback. We built this to have a support around Caleb. But again, that's coaching instability, and that is part of Ryan Poles' development. We talked about the 4 things that kind of fell under him. So before I move on to this next part, how much do you feel like that's fair to put that on his shoulders, on his plate in regards to, the part he played? I thought it was a heavy part, a very involved part in regards to Shane Waldron.
Well, look, if it's not Shane, it's Flus. Sure. So if Flus picks Shane, like at the end of the day, your evaluation of players is one thing that is very important, but your evaluation of coaching is especially in this league, is just as important, right? This isn't the NBA where you get LeBron and you're probably going to be fine because it's LeBron. You only have 10 players on the field, on the court, I should say. Compared to the NFL, you have to manage 53 different players at once, right? And so that's why there's so many coaches, and that's why it's so important. That coach has to be a leader, be good with delegation, trust the people underneath them. And actually, Dave, while you were kind of talking about that, I know this sounds crazy. Jack, let me know if you feel the same way. I almost forgot that Shane Waldron was even on this team. Like, we have dealt with so many things this season. Like, it's like different arcs of this season, and we're not even done with it yet. But it's like you had the Waldron era, you had the Flus, and then now it's like Thomas Brown, and then now I feel like Thomas Brown's part's kind of swept under the rug, and now we're in like the Poles era, where it's like, well, who's going to be, or I guess like Poles GM / new head coach, right? And so I was kind of like, what? Wait, Shane was coaching this team, but that's just how sad it is for this. What this team has done to this rookie quarterback and the players there, not just Caleb, but like the fact that you had to fire 2 people separately. Also, if we go back, just looking at the Flus era in general, right? And this falls under Poles, right? He also had to fire 2 people last year, right? For we don't know the exact reasons, but misdemeanors of some sort, right? Misconduct, I should say. So that's never a good sign of leadership, no matter where you look at it, where you're not bringing in the right people. Poles may be bringing in the right players, which is why from a GM perspective, I'm like, you've done a good job. But now, like, looking more macro, I'm like, okay, you got the player part down, like at least enough. Like, you're passing plus, let's say like a B or above. But from everything else, the other people you brought in, other than Ian Cunningham, everything else, I don't think so. Hasn't been up. Has not passed, in my opinion. Otherwise, we wouldn't have would. I think Flus went through like 6. He's fired already 6 different people, and then now he's gone. So it's not a good sign. But Jack, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're just basically explaining like the season's a fever dream. That's what you're basically going off of. Is that it feels like I totally agree. Like I can't even think of the Commanders Hail Mary without being like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like that's what I mean. But in terms of this stuff, it's hard for me. Again, I'm very biased. I like Ryan Poles. I've liked him since he came in. Obviously, the Claypool thing, that was the only thing in my head that was like a general manager decision that was poor. And it just didn't work out. Claypool was fine in Pittsburgh, just didn't work out. Whatever. Again, and this sounds like this is not true, but like Matt Eberflus is an intelligent human being. Like he was an NFL head coach for a reason. And so it's hard for me to, without knowing every single detail of every single meeting that they've had with candidates, that Eberflus wasn't like, okay, I like Shane. Like, what do you think? And then he's like, listen, this is your team, this is your squad. If you like Shane, like, go for it. Like, we don't know if that happened, or if say Matt was like, I love Cliff Kingsbury, like, love him, and Ryan's like, nope, Shane's our guy. Like, I can already tell. Like, listen
to this, because I'm going to jump ahead because there's a piece about polls I want to get to, but this one about Eberflus, because I think you said, he was good enough to be a head coach, right? Is what you said, Jack. And I think we all kind of agree to that. This right here, this is from the same piece. Throughout his coaching tenure, this is in Chicago. Right away, Eberflus was described inside Hallis Hall as awkward, corny, and inexplicably isolated at times, even when it came to interacting with his assistant coaches. There was a miscalculation on the connectivity piece with Matt and his ability to rally guys, one source said. After a while, you run out of sayings, you run out of slogans, you run out of coaching one-liners. When all that ran out, who are you really? And do you have the ability to tap into your guys so they can maximize their talents? To be clear, Eberflus was never forced on polls, at least not by anyone employed on Hallis Hall. The two share representation in agent Trace Armstrong and had become friendly after meeting years back through mutual acquaintances. Eberflus also came highly recommended in 2022 by Colts GM Chris Ballard. Again, though, let's see here about the initial reunion. Multiple league sources told the Tribune that the Bears had not hired Eberflus, the Colts were again set to fire him, like I mentioned earlier. And he quite possibly might had to seek a position coach role elsewhere in the league. Instead, Poles handed him the Bears head coaching job. So it's just that right there is, I think it's damning enough about the hire of Eberflus. And I think that falls solely on Poles for the most part.
Well, it has to. Warren wasn't even here yet, I don't think. So that's obviously falling on Poles. Also, though, the most truthful thing, or I guess most believable, I'm not gonna say most truthful because I actually don't know the sources and things like that. But the most believable part that you just said, out of all of the things you've read so far, is the corniness. I 100% can get that. Look, hits. Like that can work if maybe it is right. It can work, but like if you're winning, then sure. But you're not. As soon as you stop winning, that stuff becomes less. I would say, like the acronyms you have to be very careful with it because
we've seen
you start losing. Yeah,
Nagy club dub, awesome, and then it was like, oh well, obviously you can't experience club dub if you win, but like they would do it after a 4 game. They would win 1 game after losing 4, and they would have. It's just like, okay, really.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. So, but I think you kind of got a little bit of that from Hard Knocks. I mean, we kind of know that too. He gives Eberflus, right? And maybe as a head coach, this probably won't work. Like as a person, that's totally great. But he gives dad vibes, like old dad, not caught up with the times. Dad puns type vibes, right? And that probably, I don't know, maybe it probably doesn't work in an NFL environment because it is
unless you're winning.
Correct, and you're not doing
only way.
Winning. Yeah, winning solves.
Because even Mike McDaniel in Miami, some people are getting fed up with his, stuff, and I think he's pretty good. I think he's very, very smart. So
Nick Sirianni went through the same exact thing with Philly.
Yeah, it's true. Last year, everyone hated him, but look, now he's winning again. You don't hear shit about Sirianni.
That's the thing, and he may be an asshole, but as long as you're winning, you kind of can deal with that. It's when you go on. The problem is both of these coaches, McDaniel and Sirianni, they haven't gone on long losing streaks like the Bears have done. I mean, we could be looking at a 11-game losing streak if they lose these next 4. And that's 11 games, and then they had 13 2 years ago. So that's an insanely. It's really disappointing if you're a Bears fan, dude.
And you can see the effect of like the view of
Yeah.
this organization now, because like Caleb said something which I thought was very important, right? It doesn't mean like the future doesn't look like we can't bounce back or whatnot, but he was like, hey, look, I've never lost this much. And this happens basically. I'm
Justin said the same thing.
Yeah, it happens all the time here. All the time. And so it's just like you said, it's not that, oh, you had just a short stint of losing. It's like, no, Eberflus, historically, you have the worst winning percentage out of any head coach for one of the oldest teams in the NFL. Like, it has been that bad. And so I think, Dave, like you said, like winning will put a lot of that stuff away. The Belichick effect. There's stuff that he did that probably wouldn't work elsewhere. But guess what? That motherfucker knew how to win consistently, right? Maybe some of the Tomlin stuff would, people would be like, oh, he's too harsh or too mean. We don't get to have fun, blah, blah, blah. But he wins. So people don't care. People want to win because selfishly, first off, they, no one likes losing. And then secondly, that typically leads to more money for the players, right? Because that means you're performing well, more brand deals, things of that nature. And so like, it's right now, Chicago, we might be the most attractive spot thanks to Caleb himself. But like as an organization, I would actually think it might be quite the opposite. Like if you're just thinking about organization wise, or if you're talking about pieces and what you can do, like the toys we have, that's different. But if you're talking about like who's running the ship, like it's night and day. So,
well, speaking of running the ship, this one is. It's going to go over the hits and misses here real quick with Ryan Poles, which I thought he did a really good job, and also got Dan Whittier got some sources kind of to evaluate and kind of they basically different perspectives on Poles and kind of this Bears team, because some people obviously see how attractive this position is for this next year, this cycle. So for many who view the Bears coaching opening as attractive, Poles' discipline in building his roster is actually encouraging. The Bears have solidified a proven core to build around and got there without compromising the salary cap health or depleting their draft capital. In fact, actually increasing both. Standout players under contract for at least the next 2 seasons include Williams, Sweat, Moore, Wright, cornerback Jalen Johnson, tight end Cole Kmet, Roma Dunze, and to the lesser extent, linebacker Tremaine Edmonds and running back DeAndre Swift. The Bears also own 8 selections in 2025 draft, including 4 in the top 75 right now, while having substantial salary cap room and can be very aggressive in free agency. So in short, they should have a roster that can be positioned for a playoff contention immediately, whoever is hired, if they can land a coach who's optimal fit, then can navigate an opportunity-filled offseason and roster building. Said one league source, you don't have to squint to see the opening to make a real run next year. Again, we heard that last year, right? We heard this heading this year
months ago.
But again, they have so much at their disposal. It would be shocking. Like this year is shocked. It's pretty crazy, but I think we can all agree it would be nuts for them not to add more and then also not win more games. It'd be crazy, especially if they just, I guess they would have to whiff on this coaching and maybe GM short. But now this is where it gets real interesting. On the flip side, and this is it's basically a lot of people I think what they're saying here is a lot of people need to acknowledge this when they are looking at Poles and his resume, because all that is great, but he's had some high profile investments that have bombed. A list that includes drafting wide receiver Velus Jones with a 3rd round pick in 2020. That's a starter most of the time, at least a very good backup. Also trading a 2nd round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers for receiver Chase Claypool. And he didn't last a year. And then guaranteeing guard Nate Davis. This one has looked very, very bad around the league as well, which I guess it could be. I get it. But it was a $19.3 million, 3-year, $30 million free agent deal in March 2023. They go on to say that, Jones had more turnovers 4 than touchdowns 1. And then he was cut, 8 weeks into the Claypool, lasted just 11 months, not a year, playing only 11 games. And then, of course, they have the entire Nate Davis saga kind of talked about it. So essentially, it kind of goes on more. about Eberflus. We already talked about, how he was kind of looked at in regards to the basically the hire. And then also they talked about last season when it came to a close. Many around the league wondered why Poles remained enthusiastic and were baffled by the decision to retain Eberflus heading into 2024, despite the gift-wrapped opportunity to consider a full coaching reboot that would have timed up better with drafting a quarterback with a number 1 pick that they believe 31 other franchises would have done.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest one, because I feel like missing, like the players missing and whatnot, like that's going to happen, right? Like I think of prime example, if you want to look like at bad GM work, look at the Giants right now, right, with Jim Shane.
And they were on Hard Knocks.
Right, I know, funny, the Hard Knocks effect, it might be true. So, but like, letting, not, first of all, drafting like Danny Dimes at, I think it was like 17 or whatever in the first round. Most people are shocked by that.
Top 10.
Seven. It was something bad.
It was like 7th round pick.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, so he goes way too high, right? And people, again, you never know with these players, so I'm not going to act like, oh, me being upset or being like, what the hell was that, means that it wasn't going to turn out. But a lot of people are kind of like, oh, that's kind of high, right? And then you double down and give him a massive extension. Oh, pick 6? Wild.
Sorry, I just had to.
No.
Number
That's
6.
Wild. Yeah, it's much worse than 17, right? Or even, look, we don't even have to look at other teams, right? The biggest one that we've kind of forgotten about, because thank God we have Caleb, was the Mitch Trubisky, Pat Mahomes, right? We had to deal with that forever. Or like trading for some of these really old players. Like I'm just trying to put it in perspective here, right? The money tied to Nate Davis is $19 million over 3 years, right? What it did to your cap by cutting him, like you saved money on the back end on this last year, right? You're not losing that much. 3rd round pick, yes, that could be a starter, but you didn't extend the guy. He's gone. 2nd round pick for Claypool, that one's probably his priciest move, just for the what you can get as a 2nd rounder. Because if we look at our squad, a 2nd rounder could be a Jalen Johnson, right? Your 2nd rounder can turn into a top 5 player. Your 2nd rounder could be a Jaquan Brisker, or even a Kyler Gordon or Cole Kmet, like a very solid, top 10 in their position type of player, right? Or even top 15. I can understand that one being hefty. But when it comes to, though, the cap space, you talked about it. The cap space has been up since he's gotten here. You fixed all of that. And the draft capital, we still have 8 picks next year. So it's hard. And I think this is why, I know you guys feel this, but I think that's why, when I'm talking to the fans out here, why we have been positive, at least from a player kind of standpoint, because when you look at the summation of it all, he hasn't mitigated, which I think Dan put in that that you read, right? He put in his little hit piece here that he didn't mitigate the future. So he was able to quickly cut those things that went wrong. And you're not looking like, oh my gosh, now we have no cap, right? Or, oh my gosh, now we have no picks because we traded for this person. So every GM's going to have misses. It's more about the extremes, like mitigate how extreme your misses are and how frequent they are. And I feel like he's done more than enough to limit the amount of mistakes they have and how impactful those mistakes have been. So could be a better GM out there. I'm not saying that. There could be, right? There's definitely a possibility, but from a player standpoint, compared to what we've dealt with in the past, he's done a pretty good job on that end.
No, I agree. Like I said, a lot of good stuff in there. I think I'm going to leave it at that. There is more, but I'm going to allow you guys, if you are interested, of course, go and look at the article yourself. Of course, support the Chicago Tribune and just good journalism in general. So really good piece. Wanted to kind of hit some of those heavy hitting pieces. But let's go ahead and I guess transition to our Monday night game. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Let's do that. But one final question for both of y'all, right? So if we always, as you guys know here, watch the show. First off, thank you so much. We'll do our read here in a minute. But we love our meters over here, whether it's Jack's DJ Moore body reader or it's our Flus meters, which now have the dial has gone all the way off, right?
Their history
gone. Yeah. We love a good meter here. So I'm asking you right now, current day, after an article like that drops, where were you before today on like Poles will be here, right? Not whether you want him here, but will he be here? And where are you currently now?
Can I start, Jack?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I think that's really, you put it what we all knew about the hits, we all knew about the misses. right? There's been a little bit, I would say there's a little bit more nuggets dropped today. But for me, to get all of this information, right, Dan had to, it had to be a pretty high profile, or I guess somebody in his staff, in my opinion, somebody really close, because the janitor is not getting this info, right? So I think it's somebody underneath Ian Cunningham that gave a lot of this information away, in my opinion. So with that being said, that kind of stirs up a little turmoil, a little doubt for me. I would say I was probably at 90% that Poles was going to be here. I would say it's dropped all the way to about 50, 40%. Like it's 50-50. I have no idea. It's a coin toss right now because I think it really is going to play on a couple different variables. And I believe that the head coach search and who they come to, you know, who they decide to pick, I think is going to have a big part in if Poles is going to stay. So like Ben Johnson.
Would you get rid of Poles before that search even starts? Or is it like, you know, Johnson, like we always use Johnson just because the top candidate, but Johnson comes in and says,
I think the Bears are going to do, I think there's going to be some research done that was not going to be with Poles. And I think it's going to be done by Kevin Warren. I think he's going to float some stuff out there about Ben Johnson, about Vrabel, about Joe Brady. I think he's going to get some insight around the league about how these guys think. Aaron Glenn, what is the optics? And I think if there's a chance that the Bears don't get a guy because of this, I think they're just gonna move on. So I think it's gonna happen. It's not gonna happen during the search. That would be kind of crazy. So I think it's gonna happen pretty quickly and probably a week after the season, in my opinion, in regards to that decision on Poles. So for me, I think it's depending on the info that Warren gets, because I think he's good. I think he's the head dog. I know he says that Poles is the guy. For me, I think he has the ability. If House Hall has not changed him, I think he has the true ability to be like, okay, Poles is just not it right now. It's kind of, I know it's early. I know it's only been 3 years. We gotta reset this thing. We're gonna line up the coach. We're gonna line up the GM, and I think that's gonna happen within the first week after the season ends for the Bears. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm gonna go 50-50. Jack, I'm curious, how are you feeling on it?
I'm kind of the opposite-ish in a way. Like I was at like 95% probably in terms of like what I believe if he'll be the GM next year. I'm probably at 85. I don't think it does too much. What Phil just brought up here was that like the press conference, like it was telling that like Kevin was like, this is our guy. Obviously it could just be media BS and he could just be lying, but that'd be odd to me. I don't think you would want to be like known as the guy who lies to the media.
That was my point.
Right.
That's my point. Cause I am based off the information. I think I'm more aligned with Dave, but I'm also like brought back based off exactly what you're thinking, Jack. Like I'm literally, because I'm like, either way, it doesn't look good. I mean, sticking with Poles doesn't necessarily look bad, but if you were to get new people in here, the fact that you just said this to the presser with that amount of confidence, right? This kind of the exact same thing we thought about Ryan Poles when he doubled down on Flus. And we're like, well, did he pick Flus? Why would he double down on it? Now with this information, you're like, it makes sense why he doubled down on it. That he picked him. That was his man. So if it's in that same light, that'd be Warren being like, look, I'm trusting Poles. This is the right guy, which I'm not mad about. I think he's done enough. And if they didn't do that, I don't know how I'd feel even as a fan. Like the GM, head coach, whatever. Obviously, being a fan doesn't affect the team like that, but it's weird because I'm like, who do you trust? Like I almost whatever's said to nationally to us, I have to take with such a grain of salt now because you confident will come out there and say, that's my guy. In reality, it is not. So
yeah. So
I don't know. I'm like a 9 into a 7, but that may not seem that big of a drop off, but I feel like I'm way more open.
An article.
Yeah. I'm way more open to like, you know, that is a possibility. While before, I don't think I was. So it's going to be interesting. Oh, yeah. All off of one article, like a big one, though. To be fair, like you said, Dave, it was lengthy and had plenty of information in it.
And there's still more. So, again, check it out. Let's move to our, I guess, the game preview and the predictions. Before we do, you want to get to our ad read, Vic?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, first off, thank you all for being here. We really do appreciate it on a Friday night. Before y'all go out and drink away the pain of watching this team, we thank you for being here. If this is your first time, welcome to the BFR podcast, where we are the #1 show by the fans, for the fans, and we appreciate you being here. If this is your first time, please give a hashtag new face gang in the chat. We will make sure to give you a shout out before the end of the show. That's hashtag new face gang. And if this is not your first time and is your second time, or if you watched all 118, I want to say, I always try to get the number right, episodes of the BFR podcast, then please give a hashtag OG in the chat, and we'll make sure our wonderful producer, Jack, will give you a shout out before the end of the show. Also, for everyone, whether you're new or an OG, please like and subscribe. It is free. It does FTA for the algorithm. It helps push this show out to great fans like y'all. We really do appreciate it. We're trying to build a community here, and also throw a hashtag FGB in the chat because, F Green Bay. So I think that's always fair. So we're here for the FTA and the FGB. So we really do appreciate that. Also, it's getting cold. I'm wearing a sweater right now. It's getting kind of nippy here in Atlanta. So I already know up north it is frigid. Actually, I was just in Chicago this week. It was freezing. So if you want to stay bundled up this year and you want to help the show out, you can go to the BFRstore.com, where we have hats, hoodies, shirts, beanies. We got everything you could ever want, all different colorways. We really do appreciate it. All the proceeds from the store go right back into this show. So if you want to do it, again, that's the BFRstore.com. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we do have the products on our channel as well, so you can buy some from there. We really do appreciate it. It's the holiday season. Get something nice for your mama, your sister, your dog, whoever you love. Go ahead and show some love by buying them some nice things. Plus, don't be wearing bear stuff right now. It's embarrassing.
You should drop a dog hoodie. That'd be sick.
We should. That would be dope. I'm gonna have to see. That would be kind of dope. I'd put it on my cat too. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely a sicko. But
so fun fact, we have our dogs. They all have sweaters when they go outside, dude.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like my German Shepherd, it's crazy. My wife just ordered it off Amazon, and honestly, it's kind. I mean, they look pretty good. Look warm.
It look better with the BFR on that chest, so we'll have to get one.
Yeah, that's true. If we can get one, man, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, I'll definitely be looking into that. That would be fire. Great idea there, Jack. My cat's gonna hate me, but I love it. So we're always working on new stuff, especially for the new season. If we ever get there, it's taking forever. We have a bunch of ideas that we're working on for merch and stuff like that to just up our game even more. So we appreciate everybody who supported us so far through the store. And for all you future people that do, thank you so much. But also, if you want to support us and get a little bit more value back in your wallet, right, you can join the ongoing community that we have on our Patreon. So the BFR Den on Patreon, where we have exclusives every month, like monthly giveaways, which for the Patreon members right now, that's going to be this week. I'm about to post it like after the show. We have our private Zoom calls, which is every month, our mailbag episodes, which is every month, and we're working on much, much more. And speaking of our Patreon members, you got to give a shout out to the Bears here, right? We got the Hall of Fame Grizzlies. We got Michael, who's across the pond in the UK. We got our man Gage as well. We want to thank y'all for being a Hall of Fame Grizzly member. With this, they get the private Zoom calls with Jack, Dave, and I once a month. It's awesome, like 30 minutes. And we just chat with the boys. So you guys can ask us anything in there. It's definitely worth it. And this is like $10 a month, that's nothing nowadays. So if you want to support, really easy entry to get into that. And then if you also want to join, we do have a lower tier, which still gives you like the monthly giveaways, right? Which is fantastic. You can be a Rookley Grizzly member. And so shout out to Alex, Brian, Chris, Jason, and Eston. Honestly, you could join right now, $3, and literally this monthly giveaway, which we're doing this week. Actually, I might do it tomorrow. You're going to win your money back. So you're going to get a hat, a hoodie, a shirt, something cool. We switch it up every month. So get your money right back. So if you want to join the ongoing community here at BFR, also, I always forget this. We have a Discord too. So like you want to chat during the game, see what's going on. We're always in there asking questions, things like that. You want to give your thoughts and opinions on things, questions for the show, anything like that. Like to get direct contact to us just a little bit easier, you can always do that. And also you can hit us up, as you can see here. We're all on Twitter. If you want to hit us up on there, you want fire memes, go to Jack. You actually want some great insight, great articles, go to Dave. And if you just want to bitch and complain, come to me. So we've got a little bit of everything.
Jack, I'm going to interrupt real quick. Jack's tweets are so controversial, man.
They are.
Man, I love them. They're amazing, and I understand your humor. There's people in your comments that just bicker, bro. Bicker.
Oh, I know.
That Justin one. I was like, this
though.
guy. I was like, when you tweeted that, I knew right away. I was like, oh, this one's gonna be. I'm gonna come. I literally hit bookmark. I was like, I want to see what this conversation's like. But yes,
funny though,
follow Jack because he is funny as hell.
Are you talking about
Jack-
the spot the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious. But yeah, we have all great content on there. We got good stuff on there. But also we respond to stuff on there. So you want to message us on there as well. But if you really want to get to us, I'm telling you, those monthly Zoom calls, which we thoroughly enjoy. Gage, who's normally on here, and also Michael, they can attest to it. They loved it. It's so fun to like put a face behind a person and actually have like conversation about this horrific team. But if you want to do it, you can join our Patreon, and that's thepatreon.com. It's patreon.com, the BFR Den on there. You can Google us, as Coach Signetti would say, Coach of the Year Signetti, for any of you IU fans out there. Anyways, that is all we have. We appreciate all the love and support. Wait, is Oklahoma in the Final 12 or
No, man, let's go Notre Dame, baby.
Oh, no. But shout out Indiana. That's my state. So yours too, Dave. So
What was that, Wisconsin?
no, that's Texas.
Oh, Texas. Okay.
So Horns
You're not
now.
Notre
That's a
Dame
Georgia
fan?
game.
Me?
Yeah, I thought you were.
I'm Florida State.
I know
have
you're
no-
IU.
I have no skin in the game, so I'll
Okay.
go.
No, what's his name?
Isn't Notre Dame versus IU?
It is. It's Notre Dame versus
Yeah.
IU and
Okay,
South
that's what I
Bend.
thought.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. Yeah, Indiana matchup. So that'll be cool. So
Tomorrow's Army Navy. That'll be something.
yeah, I guess.
Over under
Yeah.
23.5, I think. It'll
Which
be-
is crazy. How many passes are thrown in that game though? Like 5, maybe?
Does the playoffs start
Yeah.
tomorrow?
no,
No, next week.
Oh, I was
I
like,
think
oh, what a week this
the
is gonna
first
be.
round is
Weekend.
Friday, I think. Thursday or Friday next week.
Uh-huh.
So
Jack's
Oh,
just flexed.
yeah, we love that.
Okay.
Michael. So first off, we have Michael here. He said Zoom calls are awesome. So that is one of our Hall of Fame
Oh, yeah.
members. Michael, shout out to you. Also, everyone give a shout out to Michael because this man's in the UK right now, and that's like 6-7 hours ahead. So it's like 8 p.m., 7 p.m. now, depending on your time zone. Staying up late for the BFR show. We really do appreciate it. And we have support all over the world, which is great. We actually have a voicemail, which we'll share as well. I might as well mention this before we go to our transition here. We
Let's
have a
play it.
voicemail from Germany. Yeah, let's play it now. That'd be perfect. And if you ever want to leave a voicemail at any time, obviously our post-game lives, we do voicemails all the time. We had like
Mhm.
18 of them last show, which is great. But if you ever want to post them like during the week, you saw this article and you're like, just want to give your thoughts, we collect all of those and we post them. If you want to do it right down here, you can see in this orange bar, speakpipe.com/the BFR podcast. It's always open. All you do is leave like a voice memo, hold a button, and then just talk and let go. Boom, it gets sent right to us. We love those voicemails. We always play them. Some of y'all are hilarious. But speaking of it, let's actually play the one from Tristan from Germany.
So for us, it was late night game. So I had already a night to sleep over the fact what happened yesterday. And the thing is, I'm not really sad because now it's clearly on the team. You cannot blame anyone else. Yes, it's not possible to fire anyone else now. You have to face the facts. The team lost. You cannot blame it on a decision by a coach or nothing. So maybe this is a step forward because you really have to work on the stuff that is left over now. And you cannot just say, yeah, let's change that person and everything will be better. You have to change things deep inside this team.
I think he makes a good point though, in the fact that it's like he's basically saying you have no more scapegoats. You can't. We fired so many people. Like there's no more. Oh, you can blame this. So like when the team came out poorly, you now look and go, okay, maybe this team just sucks. Right? It's not that there wasn't coaching. It's not that I mean, obviously that plays a part, but it's more looking like you're getting a realistic view of what is wrong with this team, and hopefully you can address that moving into the next offseason, whether it's Ryan Poles, which I think we'd all want, or if it's a new GM/head coach. So,
real quick, I don't know who Tristan is. Awesome that he watches the show from Germany. I would never get in an argument with that guy. I don't know what he looks like. I don't know nothing about him. That is one of this. I would never argue. I agree with every single thing he said in that whole thing.
It was funny because he after he said like a few sentences and he goes yes, and I was just like, But yeah. Like I was agreeing with them. I was like, yeah, man. Like
Yes,
the way
Spike,
I think it's
get
the
up
way they
now.
kind of maybe they
Yeah,
talk or something. But
the
that cracked
confidence
me
of
up
how
because
they
I was
talk.
literally thinking, yeah, I agree with that. And he just like said that it caught me off guard. But man, that was cool to get that voicemail. Of course, after we had already finished our show, our live show, instant reaction. So we appreciate you sending that interest and hope you see that again. Bring them in this on Monday night. I know it's gonna be a late night game. Send them in. We'll remind you.
Yeah, it could be
on
halftime.
Twitter.
It could be before. Like if the game's already over, which sometimes it is, like you want to get ahead of the gun, send it in at halftime,
send it in
third quarter.
If you're turning off the game, might as well do a little voice record, get your thoughts in there, and then turn it off. So
yeah.
Let's rally through our
Man,
not
sorry,
much to preview,
55 minutes. We haven't even got to the game yet. So, oh man,
we all know
but there's a lot of stuff.
happen.
And let's be real, this team's lost 7 straight. So
7 straight.
Yikes!
But do you want to go over your pre-game preview real quick, Vic, before we get to our predictions?
Yeah. Well, first off, let's do Dave. You want to do the injury real quick? Let's take a look at
that.
Yeah.
That's
what's
important.
different. It's different though because since it's a Monday night game, like the true Friday isn't until tomorrow. So,
I'll go through it. Not looking great. Ryan Bates concussion did not practice. Javon Dexter knee did not practice. Johnson concussion did not practice. Still, this is his 3rd week, I think. Mercedes Lewis. I don't even want to. Okay. DeAndre Swift. Okay, Mercedes Lewis, again, same thing, rest, guys. He did not practice. It is what it is. We've seen this before all year. DeAndre Swift, groin. This is very, very important. He did not practice Thursday or Friday. Very interesting to see his game status after Saturday. Josh Blackwell, shoulder, limited. Elijah Hicks, limited. Travis Homer, full, which is very, very important, especially if Swift cannot go. So there we go.
And then all 3 running backs on that list.
Yeah.
Other than DeAndre Evans, who – fan of the show. I think we signed back that he'll be starting running back. Darrington, my bad. Sorry, Darrington Evans. So, not great. Look, I look at this, and the first thing I see is you have 3 head issues on there. Yo, bring out those caps. I don't care how ugly they are. Put them. I'm starting to see more players. Yeah, the Guardian caps. Put them on.
Yeah,
I do not care. Right, that C might look jumbled sometimes, but we are losing too many people. And you know who's not even on this one? Still, it's Jaquan. Is he coming back?
Yep.
So having 4 people dealing with head injuries on your list is kind of just absurd to me.
Yeah.
I may just be the luck of the draw. I'm not saying that's tied to like the Bears of how
football, man. It is unlucky. I think it's a mix.
Yeah. So that's tough. And then taking a look at the Vikings.
Yeah. Vikings, Stephen Gilmore, still in the league. He did not practice, hamstring. Aaron Jones Sr., limited on Thursday. He was a full practice Friday. Pat Jones, the second knee, he was limited, full practice on Friday. Same thing with Andrew Van Ginkel, hip, limited Thursday, practice Friday, full. Josh Oliver, same thing, wrist, ankle, full. I think all of these guys are going to play except for Stephen Gilmore, potentially. So Vikings are healthy.
Yeah, for sure. We're not. So yay. Let's go to the team overview. This is so much fun. I love this. Yo, man, you know what's crazy? Let me just take y'all back a little bit. You know, if you guys can go back as far as a week ago, when you're looking at the football count, right? It's not the end all be all, obviously, but we had more footballs than the opposing team for the first time in the whole season. We ended up getting smoked. It makes no sense. We play closer when the team is much more dominant than us. So this actually might be a good sign. But what's the scariest about all of this? Because our biggest woes have still been, like, if you look at the biggest woes of this season, it's always been the offense, right? There's been some, regression with the defense and things like that. But if you look at the biggest reasons why we cannot win games, it's because of the offense. Look at that defense, everybody. Take a minute to soak in that defense. That is a lot of footballs over there. This is the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. Thank God we have all 4 of our running backs out, right? At this point. Like, Caleb might be throwing it 68 times at this point. Then you have the pass rush, pretty dominant. I mean, Hunter's gone, but their replacements have done a pretty good job. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but our offensive line fucking sucks a lot. So I think we've given up the most sacks in the NFL. So that's not a great sign. And then their passing defense, I believe, is like top 5. So, yeah, we've already faced this team once, and we did play well. It does not mean we cannot win. I don't think any of us are predicting that, and you'll see that here in a second. But this team is a good team. And they win close games. That's another testament of like how the Vikings are good because they find out ways to win games. I don't know if you guys saw a chart. I'm going a little off topic here, but there was a chart of like if you were to flip every like one possession game this season, like the Bears would be like 8-4. You know what I mean? The Vikings are like 3-9, like what we are. So it's just kind of funny how we've like played enough to possibly win games. We just shit the bed once that like 2-minute warning hits, which is wild. Not even that. Sometimes it's like 10 seconds left in the game. We forget that we're playing football. So, or forget to take timeouts. That's always fun too. So
It's true.
Going into more desperate stuff or sad, let's go ahead and take a look at our bold takes here and let's see how we're doing here. It's not great, I should say. Dave's 2-11, but 4-9 is not much better. It's starting to look like the Bears' record. Like these games keep going on. Dave's gonna have a first-round pick for the bold take selection next year. I'm like third. Jack's like right after me. Top 10 selections here.
I'll tell you what, man. Next year, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be bold, but I think I'm gonna reel it in a little bit. Try to get that record.
But what I've noticed is the ones where we've reeled in, they still miss. Like I'd say, like Jack's been pretty bold on his takes.
Bears are gonna get 5 yards in the first half.
You still would have missed that one. You would have missed that one last week. They got
that's crazy. That is so funny.
2-12 there. So yeah, maybe the final game of the season we'll just give ourselves a little boost and just like just get that easy one. Yeah, maybe we'll parlay ours together so we can all get like a little boost on our returns there. But yeah, not great. Speaking of not great, I'm sure mine. Normally I go like, offense is gonna do something great or defense does a turnover. That approach obviously isn't working. I have 9 losses for a reason. The defense gives up 400 plus yards. I think they gave up 400 plus when they played the Vikings last time. It's just that our offense, I think, ended up having like 370 yards. So their defense gave up a bunch of yards as well.
Yeah.
If it looks like any part of the defense that we saw last week, and I know it may not be as bad, but bro, we're playing an even better offense. Wait, who did we play last week?
49ers.
We're playing a even better offense. They did, but we like Jefferson with Darnold right now, even Addison and Aaron Jones. And
is this one at home?
No, we lost at home.
Fucked. Yeah, I thought we were in.
Our last one is Seattle.
Yep. Okay. Everything else is away now, except Seattle, which is great. So my bold take: we give up 400 yards. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to the BFR listeners out there. I don't mean to put that on you, but I'm trying to get a dub here since the team won't.
Respect. Bears have a lead in the first half, and I'm not going to spoil my prediction. I'll explain why they'll have okay. They're just going to score first. I think they're going to get a field goal 3-0 the rest of the way.
Not great.
You'll see in my final score prediction. Jack, let's see yours, man.
We'll get to score predictions, but I do think Caleb has a good game. Obviously, we're dealing with some issues at running back. Caleb throws for 300 plus. I think it'll be air raid type deal. I wouldn't be shocked to see 40, 50 attempts, something like that. Like it's just going to be, I disagree with Dave. I think we're going to be down bad. And so it's like, well, it'll just be pass because why not?
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to be down bad. I'm just saying, I think we're going to score first. I think we're going to get a field goal. And then that's the first possession. And then from there, it's.
I don't even know if Tyrod can make it. Don't even know.
Most of our predictions have us down bad, so not to spoil it, but yeah, or in the Cairo league there, I got that too. Yeah, not great, and it's funny because like you're like 300 yards. Oh, that's definitely feasible. I'm pretty sure we have not hit on a 300-yard guess or through 15 or whatever 300 every time we've guessed this. So thanks, Jack, for ruining my Monday. So let's go ahead and hit our headlines real quick. Mine, you're gonna be like, what the hell?
Well, no, score predictions.
Oh, no, we always have score predictions first. You're right.
Yeah.
Duh, man. I'm all over the place today. Look, just like how I'm down bad with that transition there, this team is going to be down bad 35-17. I just don't feel like the juice is in the squeeze anymore, or the squeeze is in the juice, whatever it is. There's just not much in the tank. I think is a better analogy. Not much gas left in the tank. This team has gone through so much. Jack put it perfectly, a fever dream. I can't imagine, like as fans, we deal with imagine being in the building, having to put on pads.
The Bears are so bad they made Robert Schmitz retire.
Oh man, the go.
Yeah, shout out to him though.
Yeah,
but seriously,
that's
how bad the Bears are, man. He's like, I don't
sucking the joy.
First of all, for those who know, Robert Schmitz having a daughter. and he's leaving the Bears content team. But one of the biggest things that came to my mind was like there's just no joy in it for him right now anymore than when they first started back in, I think it was 2018. He said, and then I'm like, damn. I mean, we're all kind of feeling that, So, but anyways, happy for him, happy for his family. But
yeah,
so
yikes, it is not great. So speaking of,
it's not great. Speaking of not great. Oh, look at us, fake. 37-13 Vikings. It's gonna be a hell of a Monday.
Why is it Monday, man? Mondays are already tough.
Same thing, 28-13. Think Vikings score a little bit less, but we still suck and get blown out.
It's gonna be a
prime time too, bro. This is what crazy. This is, I'm now getting like conspiracy theorists here, but what's something they always talk about something from our primetime games. Something goes wrong. What goes wrong in this game? Is it just a complete, just like beat down? We're never in it. Is it? Like,
I don't think what goes wrong. It's like what doesn't go wrong. I think every phase. I think we're gonna get a blocked Corey Taylor punt. We're gonna get missed field goal. I'm serious. It's happening.
That'll never happen.
Not the punt.
No.
With that leg, you can't block it.
That's
that goes
gonna
through
happen.
your body. Oh,
Streaks
that would be
over.
crazy. We have not seen a Caleb interception.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm hoping I'm wrong. I would love a nice little performance, but we'll see.
Justin Jefferson's going to gritty all over our TV screens all night on Monday. A lot of gritties.
Yep. A lot of them. All right, let's get to the headlines then.
Yeah, these are
all right. Monday headlines. We'll really be Tuesday here, but whatever. I didn't feel like changing the graphics. So you're probably like, what is this? 92160. What? Is that a glitch? No. That's how many minutes it's been since the Bears team has won a game. Last time they won a game. That equates to 64 days. That is 2 months of football that this team has not won a game. Now, in perspective, it's not a 13-game losing streak. I thought, that those days were over, but we're on pace.
We can get to 11.
We can get to 11, and that does not guarantee next year we start off with a win. My God, having 2 streaks of double digits is just like not even a win, guys.
Bro, it's disgusting.
Blasphemy.
It's
win.
We deserve. I can't. What did we do to get this?
I'm like, am I a bad person? Like, is there something?
Like, we're not guaranteed a playoff win by the time our lives are over. We would die before we see a Super Bowl.
Good God.
It's true, man. Like, you can't guarantee me we're going to get a playoff win before we all kind of, if we live to our 80s, 90 years old, long alive, but we literally could go a whole life without seeing another playoff win.
Yeah.
So
imagine too. We'll probably be 80. We'll probably be 80. Yeah. There'll be a double doink, and that's how we all go. You know what I mean? Because your heart can't take it anymore at that age. So I couldn't take it at the younger ages, but.
Anyways, well, what's my headline? I think it's that's all, folks. I don't even know why.
Also tied to death, I think, probably to the.
Yeah, it is. It's more so like that's just the season. The season's over. That's awful. Like this is. I was gonna say Monday Nightmare, but then I was like, maybe I should have went with that one. But I said that's all, folks, because the season's over. Season's been over, but there's nothing else more to watch. So, Jack, let's see yours.
This one's kind of a shot at King Poles. Vikings, King of the North. Obviously, they're leading the division. Ryan Poles said bullshit in his first presser, saying that we're going to be the King of the North, and we are not. They are. Sam Darnold. Does Sam Darnold own our franchise already? After one
so funny if Ryan Poles gets fired, right? And then he never reclaimed the North. Like, actually, he sat at the bottom.
He didn't even get to third.
He didn't get to third, dude.
No.
That's funny as hell.
Oh, my gosh, man. Why is this team like this?
Yeah, why is this team? Well, hey, enjoy your weekend. Saturday, Sunday, stress-free football. Nothing is going to ruin it, hopefully. Bears Monday night. Don't have to watch it. But if you do, probably going to ruin your Monday and lead into your Tuesday morning. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Appreciate the support. Subscribe. Hit that like button.
Let's
FTA for the algorithm.
Yeah, FTA. Put that in the chat as well. Do we have some? Speaking of the chat, do we have some shout outs here? All right, we got Ken on YouTube with the hashtag OG. Appreciate that, Ken. We got Philip. Also, Phillips
Phil.
taking full blame for this losing streak. I'm pretty sure he said he wrote a haiku after the
Yeah, the
Jags
haiku
game.
got us.
Yeah, and we haven't won shit since. And you're absolutely right. So I'm putting this blame on Phil with the hashtag OG, hashtag FGB, hashtag Detroit Ugliest F, hashtag make Darnold meet Casper again because he was seeing ghosts. I think
Seeing
it was for
ghosts.
him. So that's funny. Alex Hamilton. Also a member of a Patreon member who's a rookie Grizzly member. We appreciate that. Hashtag OG. Please hire Lions assistant GM and pair him with Ben Johnson. I think that would give him job security he's looking for. Hey, they already work together. So I've seen a lot of talks about that. Plastic Rockets. Always love seeing your surfboard. Like so chill. I wish I could feel that joy. Hashtag OG with the bear down here on YouTube. And I think that is it.
Well, thank y'all. Enjoy the weekend. Watch the show if you can. I just saw a glimpse of Dark Dave coming through on the recent comment. Bear down. Appreciate that, Eric. Dark Dave. Yeah. I mean, this has just been
hashtag sad boys, man. That's what it is with us. So.
Hashtag sad boys.
Oh, one last shout out here. Right? Eduardo, who's at hashtag OG, said bold take. Cairo makes a 6.
Ooh. It's
I would
indoors.
say, like 40 would be a bold take. Like we didn't even need to do 60. I would say 40 yards would be considered bold take worthy.
Yeah, we're more likely to see a
That's-
60-yard punt.
My go. If there's any highlight on the season, TT.
We got one more here too. Sorry. Hashtag Eric Grant on Facebook with the hashtag OG bear down. Appreciate
it, Eric. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back Monday. We are going to be live right after the game. No matter how it happens, we'll be here. So appreciate the support. We'll be back Monday. Enjoy your weekend and bear down.
Peace.